Welcome, friends. This is my chess stream here on lichess and Twitch. I'm International Master William Paschall. We're going to be playing my Weird Wednesday stream today, which means that we're going to be playing unusual openings and stuff that I don't normally play, gambits, other fun stuff. I don't like to play totally unsound openings, but just interesting and somewhat unusual lines, maybe sound openings that I just don't normally play, like the Dutch defense or the bird's opening. For example, we don't have to play those today, but we'll see. The King's Gambit, any kind of gambit lines that are common. Blue Crow is here. Hi there. He said, "Welcome. Good to have you. We have a challenge from Blue Crow first, and we're gonna get started in just a minute or two. Let a few people join us. Make sure our stream is up and working. We've got a good title. It should be appearing on lichess very quickly. Lichess seems to be growing. I mean, it seems like there's more players, more title players. Almost a year since I've been here. I started playing February last year, and I feel like the site has improved a lot and has a lot more players and strong players since like 11 months ago, basically. So it's good to see. Blue Crow is going to be first. So we're going to go ahead and start here. All right. Guys, feel free to challenge me between 5 and 8 minutes with a small increment. If you get a chance, feel free to join the party, play an unusual or experimental opening. Try not to go too far. I'm not playing like h4 on move 1 or something ridiculous like e4, king e2. But we do like to experiment. Let's get started. So Blue Crow, he drew his game against me yesterday. It was a tough game. Now he's white. Yesterday Blue Crow was lost. I didn't realize I had quite a good position in this Petrov we had yesterday, but it wasn't that easy over the board. I did miss like one forced win. That was fairly easy to see. I was a little angry with myself for that, but overall it was a tough game. At the end, he was better in a rook ending. Okay, so he played f4. He beat me to the punch here. But I could, if I was white and I was facing the Dutch, maybe I would try like a gambit, like d4, f5, g4, but something like g5 is a little bit too much. I don't want to play unsound stuff here in the stream. So having said that, you could play the Fromm's Gambit, but I don't know the theory too well. So I'm just going to let him be the player of the unusual opening here, and I will defend against this somewhat unusual opening. We can be creative, though. Knight h6. Let's be creative, guys. I like to play knight h6. I like to play knight h6 on move 1 against e4. Some of you may or may not know about that. It is a strange opening I've invented. I'm sure that I'm not the first one to have invented it, but e4, knight h6, and then if d4, d5, I like to play that sometimes. He's like, Lal, what? Lol, what? No, I mean, knight h6 is good against the Dutch, pretty much. At any point. I mean, the knight makes it to this outpost on f5, so you can play this Carlsbad variation pretty much straight up. I mean, most people play d4, f5, g3, bishop g2, and then knight h3, but I don't think there's anything drastically wrong with just going ahead and playing like knight h6 straight away. Lichess is becoming really good. So we played knight h6 a little early, a little experimentally, but I think in any kind of Dutch type opening, it's sound to put your knight on h3 or h6 and aim to go through the f5 square. However, he played b3 right away here, kind of calling into question my setup. I'm not sure, if it's going to stop me. We shall see. All right, so now we're going to play c5. Which we would do with white against the Dutch. Try to get as much force as I can behind d4. Basically, I'm going to try to blunt his bishop on b2. This is a blitz game, so I have to keep it moving. The Music Dan is hosting us. I want to thank Euro and W for donating to the stream yesterday. We had our first donation via PayPal of 2017, which was awesome. That is absolutely terrific, and if anybody else can continue to keep the good 2017 donations coming in to support the stream on my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training on YouTube, I much appreciate it. So C5, let's get it moving here, Plukro. You're slower than me. Yeah, I was thinking about one of my students today, one of my most regular students, and I think most diligent guys who I've been working with for quite a while, works really hard on the game. He, I'm not going to mention him by name, but he sometimes here on the stream, not too much. And I was thinking about him, you know, he's using a lot of time, and I'm constantly lecturing people about, you know, using your time, taking your time, taking your time. But at the same time, I'm a good blitz player, so I can handle the situations you guys see. I've seen me put myself in, basically, because I really have a lot of experience playing blitz. I made a very, very standard move here, a6 to stop bishop b5, by the way. Just wanted to point that out. And now, this is a combative move, bishop a3. There are several ways, obviously, I can defend c5. Queen a5 isn't out of the question. I mean, perhaps b6 is like the most stable. But he is going to play for d4 or something. Kind of a Nimzo-Indian type of idea. Alexander Ivanov, who I talk about constantly, has played this idea against me in the English defense on one occasion. Now he's going back to bishop b2. Okay. It gives me a little bit of a weakened structure. Perhaps I should have played b6 instead of e6. Now we have a choice between f6 and d4. We blocked our bishop. Feel like it should be that big a deal. Should change that much here, really. I mean, I may need to play f6 at some point. Bishop e7, or should I go ahead and play knight f5 now? Even taking on e3. Take e3. Sometimes white sacrifices that pawn, but okay, this is blitz. More or less blitz at this point. So we should develop something. I'm not sure. If I go knight f5, then he has I mean, exchanging on d4 gives a lot of my position away. Seems like. So let's develop something. Let's develop something first. I like the way that Plukro played bishop a3 and bishop back to b2, provoking e6, which means that my bishop is like blocked here, where it normally, you know, I would have normally developed with like g6 and bishop g7. I mean, having played e6 now, I feel weird playing g6 as well. The position's a bit strange. I wonder if I should have played knight f5 straight up. Strange position. For both sides it's a bit awkward, but I don't like this pawn formation. For me, it's very weird. e6 and d4. It's like fragmented. But I don't like this exchange by white on d4. He can keep the tension there and wait for me to play knight f5 and then play I thought he would do that and then play, sorry for stuttering, guys. What about this? I thought he would wait for me to play knight f5 and then play e4 if necessary. But I guess this is not so bad. You know, bishop d3, and he can bring the guy to e4. This is a typical English defense motif. E4 gambit. He was calculating E4 gambit. Whoa. G4, man. That's pretty committal. Well, I have options. I mean, knight d6 is even possible as a kind of pawn sacrifice. My pawn is going to be difficult to hold in the long run if I play that. So here, knight h4, take, take. Yeah. This position is going to get really, really weird. Knight h4 at least diminishes his control of d4. So, because I'm worried about losing that pawn, obviously it's extended and it's weak. It would have been possible to play knight d6, knight takes d4, queen b6, but he can simply play like knight d6, king h1, or get off the long diagonal. I mean, I guess I could sacrifice a pawn at this point. After he's played g4, I mean, his whole king side is very much weakened. All right, it's a blitz game, Plucro. Don't lose on time. You have 5-second increments, though. Mellow Mood Dude. Why, hello there. How are you doing in this magnificent day? It's good to hear it's a magnificent day. I didn't really make a decision. But now I trust you, so it most likely is. But every day should be magnificent, right? Wow, f5. Look at that king side. All right, we're just going to get out of here. This bishop, very, very good. And now, b5 would kill that. It would kill the knight entirely. But there are buts. There's always a but. There's serious weakening on the long diagonal. If I do that, maybe rook b8, getting my rook off the long diagonal so this thing isn't a pin when I go b5. Bishop e4 won't be a pin. Prophylactic thinking is one of our specialties here. I don't see any way to get at him directly. You know, his king is wide open. I mean, maybe h5 or something like that, but at the moment, I mean, his pieces are still pretty good at controlling the squares in front of his king, so I can't just break him down with this immediate assault. Like something like queen g5 is tempting, but there's no immediate threat with something like that. Rook f4. I don't know, man. I mean, this starts to look... It does start to look a little dubious for white. Bishop g5. Step away from the chalupa. I think he's just running out of time and making miscalculations here. So he never managed to really get these pieces. The Queen's Indian dilemma, you know, but it was very, very weakening at g4, f5. If he loses, that's the cause. There's nothing else to blame but this reckless weakening of the king's side with g4 and f4. I mean, not f4, obviously. The g4 is and was totally unnecessary. KG defense now, threatening a very subtle mate. I guess g6 is more sensible than f5. So I like the way he sacked that exchange there. Good practical decision. Man, why don't we... Man, I wish I could play... b5. I can't do it. Alright, I should just take this. Now what? Go home. We have an exchange to give. It's always good to give back material if you feel like the other guy is taking the initiative. So we can afford to give back some material if necessary here, like an exchange. You know, bishop a3 I could give back in exchange, still be completely winning. b5 is tempting, but not yet. The Potser sees a check, plays a check. But I just want to clear the way for my rook to get in the game. I'm not just checking for the sake of checking. He resigned here. I mean, I would play it out a little bit. You're threatening to win the exchange back. Maybe queen f3. It's not easy for me to finish white off here, so I think he should play it out. He is down 2 pawns in the exchange. It's a bit too much. Living. Where's chess? Brah, wow. Cool guy. Kyrgios, constant change, spinal tap, Lazar Kolic, and MSKH. So, man, that guy was really, really bad. All right. If you're looking for fun, thank you, Constant Change. We're not having fun here. Plukro said have fun. Kyrgios, Constant Change, Spinal Tap is online, and he's here early, and he's out for revenge. Kyrgios 6-5. Online Wiki, Skirmisher, good ban. Easy ban. Jeroen's not here, so I was kind of like asleep at the switch there. Should have banned him faster. Probably made a new troll friend. He'll probably be back with 5 new accounts. C'est la vie. D4. Unusual openings today. Weird Wednesday, so... Alright, we're going to go to Kyrgios. Beat me last time. I'm just thinking about him. Where was he? He wasn't here yesterday. He took me out a couple days ago. With Black, I played the Birds opening. That must have been a week ago, right? Why would I have been playing the Birds opening? Was it a week ago already that I played that Birds opening? I lost to Kyrgios. Still sticks in my craw. I played this awful recapture on f3 with a pawn. Destroyed my whole structure. Had to resign a few moves later. It wasn't even necessary to do that. So, alright, so Benoni. Kyrgios has played well in some close strategic positions. I recall losing to him once in the King's Indian, last time in the Dutch. He is capable of playing like full-on, long, you know, good strategic games. So I'm not sure what the best is here. I mean, to close it up, maybe not good against him. I mean, maybe I should play a normal Benoni type thing. Because, like, you can play e5. I don't know what they call that. Mark Dvoretsky played that against me in a blitz game. It's not the check Benoni. It would be now. This would be the check Benoni if I played e5. If my knight's on f6, whatever. So he played c4. He is transposing to some kind of Benoni here. This is obviously not an unusual opening in and of itself. But we have transposed. I did play c5 on move 1. And this is the Franco Benoni, I would call it, after e6. And there's a really big debate. I mean, is it e4 or c4 really the better move in this position? I always believed it was e4. But I think there's a philosophical argument for both moves there. Now knight f3. And in this particular move where I can play the Blumenfeld, which is not a common opening, really. Lou Barlow's so welcome. Lazar Kolic. Good to see you guys. Requesting a greeting. Hedgehogs for me. Got a greeting. Happy New Year. Have fun. We're having fun, right? It's too early to have fun. It's like I've only been streaming for 20 minutes. takes a while to get the fun to kind of flow, you know. We need some scantily clad women and a lot of beer. I don't know. We don't have that here on the stream, but we never know what the future might hold. Knight to c3. Trying to think. I have not faced this move before. I don't think it's a good move. You know, I'm thinking it's just not a good move. That's why I haven't faced it. If I was to play b takes c, white has e4, transposing to some line that's pretty good, but I don't think this is good here. I mean, I can play b4. I'm not a Blumenfeld expert. I have played it quite a lot. I have a fairly good result. I don't think I've lost with it. I played a lot of games in the first Saturday GM tournaments. It became kind of a trend here. I created like a little mini trend back in the mid 2000s, where a lot of Hungarian IMs and even later GMs started playing the Blumenfeld. I introduced it into the system locally. Blue Crow says that Blumenfeld is good in principle, but pretty much busted in the bishop g5 alliance. I don't think so, Blue Crow. I mean, I think that was the contemporary consensus. But if you play queen a5, I don't think the Blumenfeld is busted because of improvements, you know, in the variations with black not playing the old school way, you know. So if you look at modern games, there's a lot of strong players playing the Blumenfeld even now. I don't think it's busted by any means. That was the kind of classic thinking over the last like 30 years, but it's been rehabilitated because of black's ability to play like ED, CD, and D6. So after bishop g5, we don't play queen a5. We play E takes D, C takes D, and D6. Those lines are far from busted for black. I think that black is slightly worse, but it's not close to busted. The older lines are pretty difficult to play. So here we have, I think, a good version. You know, he's wasted a lot of time to fix my pawns on the queen side. And, I mean, in fact, I can try to win this pawn straight away. It's just that he has D6, or I guess I have to fix that fix that pawn. The Croatian Grandmaster Angen Svitan first introduced me to playing the Blumenfeld, and then I've seen a lot of good players. Volokita plays it. They're really, it's a playable opening because of E takes D becoming the main line. It's something that people didn't really consider deeply enough. When people play what? Knight d4. I'm losing part of my screen here. When people play Knight d4 in the Roy Lopez. GM Soroche is here. Happy New Year. Do you have any resources then, like Sledgy? Like players? Any resources? Are you talking about the Blumenfeld? Well, as I said, you know, you might check out like Volokita's games. He's not a particular friend of mine, but he's pretty good in the Blumenfeld and kicking people under the table. Actually, he just sticks his feet under the table and doesn't take them away, but then when you kick him, he just leaves them there. Anyway, he's a good player. He does play the Blumenfeld. There's another Iranian GM who's quite good. The name's eluding me now. Bishop takes G5 takes F6 is not good. So it looks like Kyrgios is just spaced. Forgetting about B2. Okay, so that was a quick We took him out of his element. Good psychological try. What is this Iranian grandmaster, the #1 Iranian grandmaster? Please, somebody tell me his name. He's also playing the Blumenfeld. I don't know that it's trendy right at the moment, but it's definitely been reinvigorated since the 80s or whenever it was usually seen. All right, Constant Change, Spinal Tap, Lazar Kolichin, Ming Pro. I wouldn't play the Blumenfeld as like your main opening because it's pretty easy to prepare for. But it is a good like surprise weapon. Constant Change is up now 8-3. He just dropped B2. Melamood Dude, after you play Bishop B5, then they go Knight D4. When people play Knight D4 in the Royal Pez, this is kind of a random question, but I don't know what the status of that bird's defense is. I've seen like occasional like grandmasters play it. Yevgeny Nair I saw play it once. I imagine like the bird's defense in the Lopez, if you spent like a lot of time to really, really deeply study the lines with computers or something, you could probably work it into a playable system, but you have to be very careful. It feels like it's difficult for black. So we are playing Constant Change. We are white. It's Unusual Openings Day today. All right, well, what are we going to do? What does he play? Sicilian? No, I can't remember. Well, yeah, Kyrgios Pez just went crazy. Bishop takes f6, regardless of hanging b2. I mean, you don't want to make that exchange unless you have a really good reason to make that exchange, because it is white's good bishop, and he has pawns on white squares. All right, so we need to try to think of something a little bit off the beaten track here. I was toying with this idea to play Knight E2, Alapin's opening. It's kind of like the chameleon Sicilian. Knight E2 in the Sicilian. I thought we'll try something different. Never played this that I can recall. Now I can transpose to the Scotch. I can try to transpose to the Scotch with D4. Normal move here would be like G3, but if I do G3, black has D5, and I think that's a bit awkward for white to handle. It's kind of like the closed Sicilian. Okay, now this is an active move. I guess I have to play D3, because if G3, I mean, I don't have to play it. The question is G3, Queen F6, F4. It's kind of like, looks pretty sketchy for white. Maybe playable. G3, Queen F6, F4, pawn takes pawn, knight takes pawn. Reminds me of the Halloween Dracula Frankenstein variation, or whatever it's called. G3, Queen F6, F4. Pawn takes F4, knight takes F4, Queen D4. I can play knight d3 or something like that. Interesting. Might be safer to play d3. However, in that case, d3, I see another issue. No, it's probably safest to play d3. No Scotch transposition. Yeah, it's not really allowed. I mean, that would really dispute the whole point of the whole point of this Wednesday weird opening stream. Didn't even know that was a variant of the Royal Pez. I never thought it was because you move your knight twice. Go for the Evans Benko Gambit. We haven't played an Evans ever on the stream that I can recall. Not really sure why. He played h6 now. Now if I do g3, queen f6, f4, pawn takes f4, knight takes f4, queen d4. He gives up his center. I mean, we can defend f2 with queen e2. His queen's in a strange position. Strange situation altogether. But I just noticed something interesting. There is a funny variation there with like queen f6, bishop e3. Bishop takes e3, pawn takes e3, queen f3, rook g1, queen takes e3, knight d5, forking his queen and the pawn on c7. So I guess there I would actually win. It's kind of a funny line. Now it's tempting to play bishop h3, but I don't know. Maybe I would just end up weakening my white squares. I need the white square bishop as a sort of defender. Stopping d5. Steinitz would occasionally play this type of setup with white. Now, we could play knight a4. We'll cede some control of the center to get rid of that dangerous dark squared bishop. The other option is bishop e3. But I've talked about this many, many times recently. I think in closed positions, the value of the bishops is overrated by many players. Here we have a lot of pawns on the board, so there's no reason that black, has to really trouble himself over giving up a bishop for a knight. I wouldn't lose too much sleep about it. Now what? f4. Maybe c4 is an interesting option. It seems like it would kind of favor the knights, though. The position gets more locked. I guess castles. Castles are f4. Try to bring this piece a little bit more action. Open up the dark squares eventually. We could also consider d4. He's moving like instantly. Well, I mean, honestly, two knights against two bishops isn't bad, but I don't think I would go out of my way to make that exchange for black. That's a better bishop. You have pawns on dark squares. You could argue that's a pretty good piece, so I think I'd probably pass on that one. Now, queen f2 is tempting, but how am I going to get rid of that knight? I don't have c3 because of knight b3. So I think I have to go back to d1 here to make sure I have the ability to play c3 to kick him out. f2 would be maybe the preferred square if the a file wasn't open. It's always an interesting struggle when it's two knights versus two bishops. Magfasciuti Magpie Shooty. Don't know what that is. It's some kind of link. So don't click on strange links, kids. Don't be tempted. Guys, if you're a legitimate contributor here, please let us know like what kind of link you're posting there. It looks like an image. LOL. I wouldn't click on that with a 10-foot pole. I mean, a lot of people have suggested that I disable like people putting links, but I don't want to be like a freedom killer. So, you know, it's just like, you know, be careful. Don't put any strange links and don't click on them if you know what's good for you. But occasionally people do, you know, legitimate people here do post legitimate links, and we'll let you know when that happens. It's like what Roman said when somebody offered him a draw. I'll let you know when it's a draw. I can't do the Gigi Ashford imitation anymore, but I like the response to the draw offer. We'll let you know when it's a draw. Castles. Starting to like my game here. He's seeding the center. We have this nice phalanx of pawns. The two bishops are starting to get some squares. Now Queen h4. Queen h4. f5 is tempting. But then knight g5. Starts to get a lot of squares. There's also the c5 square. That's really nasty. I think I need to play d4 now. Threatening to win a piece. By the way. And taking away the c5 square. So there's no outposts that look particularly good for black. Dr. Checkmate, good to see you, man. For every troll, we have at least 10 cool people here in the stream. Dr. Checkmate not being a troll. Dr. Checkmate, I was thinking about you the other day, but I don't remember exactly what thoughts I pieced together. You mentioned about the chess league thing, and let me try to recall what I was thinking. And I can't put it together. I was thinking something about you and Brian Wall. You referenced Brian Wall, and I'm having memory lapses. Now I'm an old man, so yeah, f5 lets him go into g5 and starts to create cavities in my position. He lost his last outpost was like knight a5 kind of ideas, but is it really a good thing? Okay, f5 is so tempting here. It's probably not bad. I mean, stop him from playing f5 for good. We just have to deal with knight g5. We've got a poker SMS. Almost every day there's like a home game lately. Just heard the SMS coming through. Now king h2, I guess, drops a pawn on e4. So we're going to have to defend this guy. I guess this is the plan. This is the plan. This is a plan. This is the flop. Man, I played in the best poker game the other day. It was like a local home game, and if I could assemble like a lot of really bad local players and put them all in one game, it was like that. Unfortunately, I had to leave early because of you guys. Can't be staying up all night and doing the stream the next day. Queen d3. Ouch. I'm 43 too. Who said that? What does 43 have to do with anything? But Dr. Checkmate, you can't be much older than me. I'm 43. I stopped aging at 39. It's the strangest thing. I thought that just women did that, but I realized that it happens to men too. It started to happen to me. All my life I thought this, people who stopped getting older, it was only women, concerned about their beauty and stuff. But I realized it happens. It's real. I stopped having birthdays. Well, I didn't stop having birthdays, but I stopped aging. So I don't know what you're talking about, Dr. Checkmate, what it's like to be, 43. That's just... Aha. So he's... Wow. He's escaping. He's trying to escape from the building. I think it might be in my best interest to play King H2 at some point. This square is a nuisance. I'm also guarding... That's a nuisance, guarding that pawn all the time. And now, for my next trick, he's got two minutes. Well, as our coach says, I'm 47 and looks like 58, so don't worry too much about it. I saw a funny post on Facebook yesterday. This guy had a picture of some old rocker who was like, in the first picture it said 2016, and like had a picture of the guy when he was like 20, and then it said like 2017, and he was like 65. It's like Happy New Year. I'm sure it's not original concept, but I hadn't seen a post just like that, so it was kind of funny. Constant change. We have digested the queen, and he missed that rook f4 idea, so he had to play some awful move there, g6, not to lose a queen, to like rook f4, queen h5, but his whole position would fall apart. So instead of castle's queenside, he had to like escape while he could still try to escape with queen h5. Alright, now I think the concept would be maybe we should kick this guy out. Pronto, knight removal. First getting out of the pin. Now he's self-removing his knight. That's always helpful. I like it when they cooperate. Anyway, I would probably kick them out next move, so he's preempting me. We're going to try to open up the king, and it's always nice when you're up queen for a rook. We're pretty lucky. He played carelessly, getting his queen trap there. Game wouldn't have been so easy had that not happened, obviously. I thought that white was better, though. I mean, white definitely had the better of it. Here we go. So hopefully he's a little too late in the counterplay department. Obviously, it's a little bit sketchy. Not too sketchy, though. You've got to be careful. Yes. Check. And he resigned. Wow. I don't know why this particular moment decided to resign, but... Oh, I have bishop h5. I missed that. Yes, sir. All right. Spinal Tap is up. Jeez. Wasn't warmed up enough yet. Beards have gray in it. Forgot my just for men. Alright, I gotta shave this beard. It's the only evidence. Spinal Tap. Alright, he's here. He's early today. He's angry. We'll give him some time to collect himself. It's Weird Wednesday, so I've got to play something strange. I already used my C5. How can we throw off the great I am Spinal Tap? Dutch defense. I don't think I'm going to play that. He's very positional. Seems like the kind of player who would like to play against the Dutch defense. And D4 takes all the fun out of playing knight H6. That's pretty dodgy as it is. Alright, I'm not going to take forever here, but I want to play something fun, so I'm taking my time while my clock isn't running to think about an unusual opening to play. Well, what do we have? We had the Blumenfeld today. That was the game where I played C5. I guess we'll have to play. You don't want to just leave. What? Rock and Eagle? I hate it when opponents resign when I haven't seen the reason. Maybe they go to eat or something. Alright, so yeah, I'm going to reserve the Marshall defense for another day. No, I think we'll play the Budapest Gambit against Spinal Tap. Occasionally, we bust out the Budapest Gambit. I don't know about the Fajarowitz, though. I never played that. Is that sound? I never really had the easiest time against that when I handled it, when I had to face it in blitz. But I'm sure the Spinal Tap is a true professional, and he's prepared here. He played knight f3. I mean, one could argue that bishop f4 is a more ambitious line. So I can play bishop c5 now. I had a strange sensation. I saw Budapest Gambit recently, but it must have been just an old game that I looked at recently rather than a recent game. I mean, has anybody seen any strong players playing the Budapest Gambit? Not really, right? The Fajarowitz. I imagine that's not like a correct pronunciation. Maybe it is, actually. That's what I heard. So A3. Well, I mean, I don't want to get overrun by like B4, so I don't think there's a lot of options here, really. I mean, do you have to do this? A5. Yeah, I swear I saw a game like this recently. Knight takes E5. I mean, I guess this is a main line, obviously. I just don't know why I would have seen a game like this recently. I mean, maybe I was just reviewing one of my old. It must have been the last time I played the Budapest Gambit. I went looking at like variations because I was just curious about it. That's the only possible reason I can imagine I would have been looking this up. And now for our next trick. Queen e7 is a normal move, but, well, I don't think he's going to play f4 here. And the other thing is, if I do play Queen e7, you're walking into like knight c3, knight d5 type of stuff. So I guess I have to make a choice. His move order has created some problem for me. Because normally in this line I'd be like castling and there'd be a knight on c3 and I'd be able to play like rook a6, lift this up, swing across. And his move order has actually a very concrete point. So queen e7 isn't really great, and rook a6 is stopped if I do d6. I guess I just have to make a decision for one or the other. Clearly f4 is very weakening. So we'll abandon the aggressive rook lift ideas with rook a6. It's not losing that hurts, it's losing so bad. Am I losing the g-pawn by force? Knows all. Yes. I'm losing the g-pawn by force, and I'm happy to do it. No, he doesn't want to go there. He doesn't want to, open up that can of worms. In that variation, the cure is worse than the disease. I'm sure that Mr. Spinal Tap has rehearsed this against other opponents. Well, he's got a nice little advantage based on pawn structure and like this sweet d5 square. And if I had rook a6, rook h6, I'd have a really good attack. But I guess this is the part where we go like queen h4. We just menace him with masterful sacrifices on the way. He's playing as fast as constant change. Insta moves. What are you playing, Bullet, lately? I should open up a separate window and see like Spinal Tap's last 10 games. He's probably playing a lot of Bullet chess. I don't know, I'm just purely speculating. Now knight g4, knight f3. Actually looks pretty good. Kind of like knight g4. We can sidetrack him. The knight e4 is an annoying thing that can happen. And this way, hopefully we can distract him from that type of plan. Very primitive. He may be still in book. I don't think so. Not anymore. Never play f5. I don't know about never, but I prefer not to do so. I agree. I prefer not to play f5. I mean, it does occasionally work, but it creates a lot of weaknesses. It opens my king, it blocks my bishop. If I can't play f4, it's like a bad bishop. Yeah, I prefer not to do it. So the original plan was to play queen h6 here. I guess we're going to stick with that. I guess white's a little better, but I'm pretty active, and that's what would Mamedyarov do? Can I take on f2? God, you're like walking up to g3, right? Take f2, king f2. I don't think I have enough compensation. How about a double piece sacrifice? It was never my intention to sacrifice a piece just yet. I'll let you live for now, Mr. Spinal Tap. But we've got our eye on these sacrifices. I mean, the thing about it is that, like, in my experience playing the white side of the Budapest, there's not a lot of strong players who play the Budapest with black. Remember the Russian Grandmaster Mark Seitlin wrote a book on it, and he used to play it regularly. He wasn't a really strong GM. He was like 2450 or something. I saw him playing at Hastings years ago. But it's not too many Grandmasters who play the Budapest Gambit on a regular basis. So mostly you're playing like weak players, and you have a tendency like not to take it that seriously. So it's possible the Spinal Tap doesn't really have, you know, a great line worked out. And this is not bad the way he's played it, but it's far from punishing the opening. Remember, I saw Luc van Velde face it once, and you know, he's a huge opening theoretician. And what was interesting about van Velde facing it was that he actually went into like one of the most I don't know, daunting variations in a way. This variation where you play like Queen D5 and you hold on to the pawn. So it was an interesting thing to see a 26, almost 2700 player face the Budapest Gambit and go into one of these hold on to the pawn variations with Queen D5. Maybe that's telling you something. Okay, just don't weaken my king side, weaken your king side, and then we'll talk. We'll talk later. We've got good sacrificial chances on H3. Maybe I'm starting to like this. You know, it looks like we have Spinal Tap better be careful, because bad things can happen to good people. Okay, he's taunting me. Possibility of sacrificing a piece here. I don't think we're quite ready for that yet. There is the possibility of this, but that's okay. We can deal with that while developing another piece with further sacrificial possibilities in mind. Rook lift could be a killer. Bishop F3. Pinning me down to the B7 whilst guarding the E4 square. KG. I could play C6. I don't really like playing C6. Knight E4. How am I going to defend C7 and keep this attack rolling along here? Bishop D7, hanging a pawn. And all right. Because we're going to have to start sacrificing pieces before his positional advantage increases anymore. And time advantage. It seems like his time's not moving. He's got 3 minutes. Yes, rook e7 was a thing. I mean, is a thing. Played rook e1. No way. I can't believe it. I could play c6 to keep him off of b5 here. Maybe that would be a sensible course. I was really worried about that move a minute ago. I mean, maybe I shouldn't have allowed knight b5. I don't know what I was going to do. Some desperate rook e7, bishop takes e4, rook takes e4, rook e7, knight takes c7, knight takes f2. Might have been okay for me in the event of that knight b5 move, but it was pretty awkward. I hate playing c6, but I mean, he can't have everything. It is kind of a King's Indian type of structure that I should be kind of used to. It's not the end of the world to play c6. My bishop can retreat back here. And d6 is protected by the queen, which is very handy. I should have played c6 probably earlier if I had the chance. Yeah. Playing for exchanges. Running out of time. Really know what I'm going to do about it. I'm just going to flag. I couldn't think of a good move. Maybe I should just take on g4. Wow, bishop g4, a very smart move by Spinal Tap. He's got far more time. But I think the position is objectively like equal. Queen g4. You can't. I don't want to take on g4 and bring that pawn toward the center, or give him the f5 square permanently. I think that black is okay, but I could easily become worse. I might have had queen takes queen, knight d2, and some lines there. He's still got some tricks or what? What am I doing? Semi-panic move. Gotta keep my pawn protected. Time is of the issue. Of the essence, that's what they say, of the issue. Time is of the issue. Time is of the essence here. Yeah, I mean, I guess I prefer not to play f5, but under the circumstances, he's putting me in really nasty time pressure. What's the idea? What's the big idea? Oh, I get it. I don't know if you want to play f3 or not. It's entirely up to you. Well, that's a surprising move. Wow. Weaken the e4 square. Maybe it's not that bad. Just don't let me lose on time. Oh no. No. Kidding me? Oh no. Oh no, Mr. Bill, no. He's gonna win this ending. I can't believe it. I let him out-technique me. All right, well, it was a very good time scramble. Very good, well-played time scramble by both sides, especially the ending there. Good job, me. No, it was lost. I mean, it was lost. I swindled him again. I'm very fortunate. But I think that it probably could have been a draw. If I had taken on g4 with the pawn, I was slightly worse, but I had the feeling I could probably save it. Spinal tap. Sorry about that. Yeah, he's probably not as used to playing as with increment as me, so I'm sure he plays mostly like sudden death. I don't know. I didn't really check all his games. But I have the feeling he probably does not play as much with increment as me. It is kind of difficult if you're not used to it. Obviously, he knows how to play with increment, but I'm saying you either play like usually sudden death blitz or not. So it seemed like he kind of panicked there. But he made some mistake. I mean, at that point when he hung the piece, maybe I was hanging on. He let my king get really good in the middle of the board, and I think he was a little bit upset with himself, probably, that I had any drawing chances at all at that point. Look, the Tsar College is playing, well, it is basically the main line here. Bishop g4 was a variation I used to play. It's not very good for black. Actually, this whole opening isn't very good for black, but we occasionally take it out of the cellar. Spinal tap chess, hanging a piece, not so good. Yeah, he did a good job, though, like negating all my threats and consolidating into a slightly better ending. Can feel his power outplaying me. But I made a fatal mistake letting him have an outside passed pawn. That was unavoidable to some extent, but it shouldn't have been a G pawn that he had there. I mean, he should have had like a passed F pawn or something like at the most. So it was. Here black can play knight F6, but it's not really very in keeping with the Grunfeld spirit of this type of setup. So knight B6 it is. Bishop E3, kind of a rare move order. So black could consider perhaps a very early bishop G4 here. Gotta go, what? I can feel his power outplaying me. I felt like you made a mistake right before that situation where you hung a piece somehow, Spinal Tap. Like, you should have had me dead to rights, but then you hesitated or something, and then I was like, I had drawing chances again. What's going on here? If, like, C5, pawn takes pawn, queen takes queen, bishop takes B2. I mean, that has to be good for me, right? I think this is an inaccurate move order by white, you know, delaying knight c3, so I have this tactic on the long diagonal. Basically letting me equalize because he didn't play knight c3, and he gives me this chance to play c5. Okay, far from a perfect game, Spinal Tap Chess. I was fortunate, as usual. I made a terrible mistake when you played G4. I played H takes G4, F takes G4, and then I played like King E6. But I have to play pawn takes G4 check, King takes G4, and then like King E6, and let you play F5 or whatever. But I mean, it's much less scary that you have a passed F pawn than a passed G pawn. I mean, I may not be lost there in that ending, whereas with the passed G pawn, I'm just totally unable to do anything. With knights, you don't want the other side to have far outside pawns. Rook pawns are very difficult to stop. Obviously, knight pawns are difficult to stop. Bishop pawns not quite as bad. So I made a very, very bad error letting him have that passed G pawn. Catastrophic mistake. I'm lost there for sure. But anyway, it was an instructive Blumenfeld, Budapest Gambit. Blumenfeld, Budapest. I live in Budapest, so it's always funny to play that, but we decided to play the Scandinavian, which was one of my main openings at one point, believe it or not. I played this opening a lot, against all odds. Then one day I realized that I'm like, you know, it's like handicapping yourself. Just playing this inferior opening on a regular basis is a really good way to lose rating points. I just couldn't beat like 2200 type players. In many cases, I was like begging for a draw against weaker IMs and stuff like that. So one day I was like, you know what? I'm gonna stop playing the Scandinavian with knight f6. It's just a bad opening. Now here, white didn't do anything terrible. I think that he's arguably allowed me to equalize. Guess we just castle here. Maybe white has some kind of microscopic edge still, but I don't think it's objectively really dangerous. Exchanging queens would bring his rook to the central open file. So white still has some kind of potential for an advantage. My king is a little bit open. He has queenside majority. which could translate to a passed pawn at a fairly early stage. Yeah, Spinal Tap should have been winning. When he hung the piece, it might already be a draw. I agree. Maybe not easy, but... Alright, so now bishop g4, knight c6. Not a very exciting position, and this is like the best I could do. If I don't play c5, yeah, I mean, maybe c5 is the best move, but on the other hand, maybe it simplifies the game for a low-rated player against a lower-rated player. That's not necessarily the recipe for success unless he's bad technically. So I've made this a fairly simple position, and White's advantage is, if he has an advantage, it's microscopic. But I lost an ending like this against Konstantin Chernyshov. Actually, it was more symmetrical. I lost this kind of ending with trading queens and like giving up the file and tiny advantages. You can lose quite simple endings by just one or two little inaccuracies, giving up an open file, trying to trade pieces too hard in a way that like maybe gives the opponent some tiny edge. It's always tricky here. You know, should he move his queen? Like, this looks artificial. Queen b3, queen e1, queen c1. It's often difficult to decide in this kind of position, you know, what to do. But usually exchanging queens and bringing the other guy's rook to the open file is a mistake. So he's kind of like, well, what should I do here? I've been there, and I'm not sure. No tension in this position. Well, it depends on how you define tension. I mean, pawn tension, no. But there is some tension of a sort. Like White doesn't know what to do here exactly. You know, do we do something weird like reposition the queen? What about my queen? It has nowhere good to go. I was a little nervous earlier because c7 can be hit by a knight b5, and probably not a big deal though. I would also have to calculate this move, c5, at any moment can be disruptive, driving my knight from its terrific square at b6. But Lazar Kulich is getting in time pressure. CM Lazar Kulich. Spinal Tap Chess, yes, you should have been winning for sure. But thank you for, he's logged off now, at least from lichess. But I thank him for playing, man. He's a good sport. He's a good player, and he's a victim of my slimy defense. Knight to c6. Knight to... Never mind. So we have to play knight d7. Trading queens. Trading queens gives him the file, and he can always defend his pawn with knight a4. So I think that's kind of awkward. We could reposition the knight on f6, maybe. I think c5 is a good move. Knight d7, knight e4, f5, knight d7, queen d5 is another defense. Is there any benefit in trading queens just to get the queens off the board? Queen takes queen, rook f takes queen, knight d7, knight e4, f5. So knight a4, b6, and then bishop b5. Just like, it's nearly game over. So I guess we have to not give him... I play queen d5 quickly. I mean, knight a4 might be a better move. There's nothing. It says I can't play queen a5 here. He has this in between move. There's no more pressure on his c5 pawn, but my knight has journeyed to a better place. It is now relevant. I mean, knights on b6 are just one of my pet peeves. I hate that piece, and this opening is like the Alekhine's defense. It's a constant problem. He's avoiding the exchange of queens. He has lost a little bit of time here. Looks like he's ready to play b4. So not real thrilled about that concept. Bishop e6. Bishop e6 looks like a sensible thing to do. There's some relation between this opening and the Grunfeld. You can imagine. This looks artificial. I feel like we've stopped him from, the b4, b5 and made some progress. Our queen has a decent square. So I feel like we've gotten out of the woods. We're out of the woods. And we're okay. And I don't know what to do now. The fight for the center is pretty classic. All right. Knight g4, threatening nothing. Actually, that would threaten knight to d4. It would threaten knight to d4. But the time is really of the essence here. What to do? Make a neutral move, stopping knight g5. Play bishop c2. Knight g4 now. I don't know if he's listening to the stream or not. Some players are choosing not to do so. I thought... Ooh. Knight e4. Knight d4, knight takes d4, queen takes check. King f1. I don't seem to have anything there. Queen f4. It's like a bluff. Whoa. What am I doing exactly in this position? I'm not quite sure. Alright, I'm just going to not lose on time. Not real thrilled about this. Black's still okay. I really hesitated there, and I didn't have anything. I thought I had knight d4. It didn't work. The whole thing was a bad plan, probably, to play knight to g4. Guys, we're going to be streaming for another hour plus till 12:30, so we've got time for at least four to five games. I'm going to take this guy. And I think now we stand okay. What's the plan? What's the plan? Not to lose on time. This is a horrible exchange, but I was about to lose on time. He's in panic mode. Can't play f6. That was a terrible move. Absolutely butchered this position. Man, I just wasted a massive tempo there. What? He just panicked. Got nervous and panicked. And my endgame technique is awful today. Man. I wasted a huge tempo with f6. I mean, what did I play? Some kind of absurd move. I played an absurd move. F takes g4. Where was it? E takes f6. Excuse me. First of all, I was freaking out because I can't win a piece here because I don't have f6. And then I saw like queen takes a2, knight takes c6 is unclear. So I just panicked and took on e5. And now after queen takes e5, queen takes e5, f takes e5, I just made a totally insane, absurd move. I don't know what's going on here. I don't think that black is worse. f6. I mean, this is the move. I wouldn't have seen a5, but I would have played f6. I started to be worried about this, but it's a draw, I guess. Not the simplest ending, though. I saw the idea to sack a pawn with king f2. I would have probably played like king f7. Let's say like king f2, king f7. It's probably a draw. King e3, king e6. If I don't like waste the tempo here, I don't think I can lose. So this is probably a draw. The white's a little better. King d4. Complicated, and I was kind of panicking, and I made an awful move there, losing a tempo, getting a lost position, I guess. All right, Ming Pro 8-3. Uh-oh, is this guy like with no games? No, he's got games. Okay. Hedgehogs for me. It was an interesting game. 2017 hit, and just everyone's endgame became awful. It was like a matter of panicking. He had me in time pressure, and much like Spinal Tap last game, I just I was kind of freaking out because nothing seemed good. I would have played f6. Then I had this fantastic idea to like move my king to f5, but obviously he plays g4 as he did, and I cannot get my king, you know. And I wasted a very important move when I needed to centralize my king. Alright, it's weird openings, and I forgot to play a weird opening, but there's still time. We played the English. We need to do something unusual here. So, in the spirit of that, we can find some kind of strange line against the King's Indian. Let's try something unusual here. It's going to be hard to do. I'm sorry for playing c4 because now there's no way for me to play an unusual opening here. What can we do? Open to suggestions. I did think about knight h3. That's a good suggestion. Yeah, I agree. I mean, knight h3, it's actually totally okay in It's totally okay in a lot of openings, like the closed Sicilian, this type position, which is basically, well, it might be a closed Sicilian reversed, and it might be a symmetrical English, one or the other. Knight h6 or knight h3 is viable. So this is my way of making up for not playing a strange or unusual opening here. Knight h3 is a good suggestion. This is the knight h3. I did play it on move 1 against Hungarian IM a few years ago in the Hungarian team championship, and I sacked a pawn with like this insane reverse Scandinavian type of thing. But I wouldn't do that in a team championship scenario normally, but my team was like doing really, really badly in the team championship, so we were like relegated or something. It didn't matter, so I just decided to have fun. And I don't remember the name of the guy. He was a relatively young IM, but I managed to hang on and draw. One knight h3, black played e5, I guess, and then I played d4, pawn takes pawn, g3. I think I played like that, sacked the pawn, and drew some kind of remarkable game. Alright, so we are going to fianchetto, and the knight does head for f4, but unfortunately black's pawn is not on f5. This is not the Dutch, so it's not quite as good as if we were playing against the Dutch, with the knight having a good outpost square on f4. But sometimes I get people like requesting that I play the Grob, and I don't like the Grob because like g4 is a very weakening move. I would much rather play a move like h4 or knight to h3. These are moves that don't really weaken the position as much as a move like g4. So oftentimes, like when I was tilting, I would play h4 on move 1. I think that h4 is a lot less weakening than g4. Knight h3 is not a move that ruins the position. That a random move like a Grob type of weakening Grob pawn move would do. That's why I play knight h6 with black sometimes. I like to play e4, knight h6, because it doesn't permanently weaken the position in any way. So Ming Pro is just playing like it's a normal everyday King's India. But obviously he has the option to go symmetrical English here, which is really just a matter of taste. I mean, I think that fundamentally black's best move is probably e5. Playing against the knight on h3. But you have to be comfortable with the resulting structure. I don't know if he likes playing e5 or not. Using a lot of time. Mostly blitz player. Oh, he's got bullet. I'm happy to see c5. I think that knight h3, it works a little better in the symmetrical English, and you guys who watch the stream a lot might have occasionally seen me play like knight h6 as black in this type of symmetrical English. It's not a great line. If we put the knight on f3, black plays knight c6 and knight h6, but it's not bad. The problem with symmetrical English for black is that it's really, really difficult to break the symmetry and get an interesting position where you can play for a win. So, that's why some players playing black will occasionally venture something like knight h6 to get imbalance in the position. I'm not going to castle yet, because you could have a situation where like bishop takes c6 would be a good move, and if I don't commit to castling kingside, I have some flexibility. Bishop takes c6 could be with the knight and f4 though, I don't know that I want to do bishop takes c6 because it would always result in a pawn on c6, which means there's no outpost on d5. So it doesn't really fit together. Play d6. And so this is a setup that I use a lot with black. Queen d7, and it can be played with white, obviously. We don't create any pawn weaknesses. We get all the pieces, the back rank, all the heavy pieces connected. In this position, I still theoretically could castle either side. I have b3, bishop b2. Counter fianchetto. As I see knight h3, I would instantly think about positions with e5. Yeah, I agree. I mean, e5 taking away the f4 square. If black had played e5 here, I would be inclined to probably slowly play some kind of closed Sicilian type of setup with like d3, e4, and then eventually playing for f4. And that way, and only that way, the knight on h3 could kind of get into the game by f4 or f2. I want to thank you guys for joining me here today. I'm International Master William Paschall. We live in Budapest, Hungary, although I'm American. Been living here in Europe since 2004, and usually streaming Monday to Friday, 10 to 12:30 Central European time. Also, I'm doing a simul on Sunday, and most Sundays at 6:30 p.m. CET. So be there. This Sunday, the 8th of January, I will do a simul here on lichess. I think for 25 players. Sometimes I have Hungarian Team Championship games in the mornings on Sunday, so if I'm tired, I'll do just like 20 boards. But this week, there's no reason we shouldn't have like the full 25 boards with a 40-40 time control. I think that's what we're going to do. Gladys Troll, welcome. I'd like to welcome everybody I haven't greeted. Also, our moderator, Jeroen, is here. I think he was here. Maybe he left. I don't see him online now. I guess he had to go. We have Karpov tried to play like that with black pieces. Putting the knight from h6 to f5, controlling the d4 push. Catapus, you're talking about like which kind of position exactly? Ming Pro has played the super standard rook b8, bishop d7, preparing b5. Absolutely correct. Very solid. So, I mean, if I felt like a maniac, I could play h4, but objectively, it doesn't really look like I have a lot of justification for that. I mean, it's just a reckless kind of style of play. But black is playing so solidly here, I feel like my only chance is to win on time. But maybe I'm being pessimistic. I don't know, what the plan is. He's got the initiative on the queen side with b5. I mean, maybe I should have played h4. I don't know. Otherwise, I don't really see what my plan is here. Other than like centralizing a rook or something like that. Rook c1, rook d1. Have played. Just put the pieces in the center of the board and hope something good happens. Now, obviously, I can play knight to d5 anytime I want to. It just doesn't necessarily do anything. I think like knight d5, e6, knight takes f6, bishop takes f6. It's a totally equal position. Ming Pro is pretty solid. Hopefully we can beat him on the clock, because I'm not seeing much really going on here. Both sides have played super tight, conservative type pawn structures, no weaknesses. I could consider something like, well, I was going to say for me, like e3. He's doing the same sort of thing here. Now knight e4. Knight e4, knight takes e4, bishop takes e4. It's pretty equal. I mean, I guess we have to consider pawn takes e4. I wouldn't mind, if I put the rook on c1 and the other rook on d1, then I could play like knight takes e4, d takes e4, pawn takes c4, rook takes c4. Man, white might be in business there. Black like weakened along the d file. He's just gonna lose on time, but his position is okay. Just don't fear any ghosts, Ming Pro. He went into panic mode. So he just knight takes c5. Looks really bad. Just panicked and hung his c5 pawn. I mean, just simply taking on e4, bishop takes e4, bishop takes b2, queen takes b2. It's equal. Now he's pinned along the d file, so he cannot really do anything. But it's a silly loss, because obviously we're just totally equal. The knight takes e4. Absolutely, the computer does like pawn takes, actually. Ironically, now it changed its mind. Now it thinks this is possible. D takes e4, bishop takes b2, queen takes b2. A little bit interesting. B takes c4, rook takes d6. It's double-edged, but it looks like black's probably okay in this type position. I might have opted for the safer bishop takes e4. In this case, black is totally fine. Not a lot to do, admittedly. It's not like a really dynamic position, but all right, guys, we got time for at least 3 more games. Ghostmind, MSKH, and I don't know what to call this guy. I can't pronounce it, so I'll say like Wars and Fortuit Folier. I don't know if I'll get all 4 games in. Don't challenge me, anybody else, because we'll probably only be able to get to 3 or 4 games. Who's apologizing for the spamming? Dude, Catapus, don't worry. Like 3 or 4 comments is nothing. There's the people who like spam the whole like chat, which gets on my nerves sometimes, but oftentimes I don't say anything. I wouldn't call like 3 comments in a row spamming. Okay, don't be so hard on yourself. We appreciate you contributing. Speaking of contributing, if you guys want to donate via PayPal, we had an awesome donation yesterday from Jeroen W. From the Netherlands. And I'm going to be doing this all year, 2017, streaming here on Twitch. Also, there's my YouTube channel, Video Chess Training. And if you guys are interested in lessons, please contact me via my chess email, videochesstrainer@gmail.com. If you're really serious in training, I offer reasonable rates, and I think I'm a very qualified coach, so let me know. Ghostmind G3, this is a good move. Now, I've got to find a way to get an unusual opening against G3. Unusual for me, anyway. But it's not easy to do. I mean, it's kind of like C4, It's hard to get an unusual opening against this, so I mean, obviously the temptation is to play h5 here and try to bust it. I think h5 is sound against g3. I've talked about h4 and h5. My opinion of those moves is that they don't weaken the position too much. So now, as far as following up here, I'm not too well versed in what black's supposed to do. I remember watching Shirazi play h5 against g3 and thinking that he's a maniac, and probably he is. Kamran Shirazi, he lives in Paris, France. He's international master, originally from Iran. He's a famed blitz player, and in his prime, he was in the U.S. Championship and rated at like 2600 U.S. because he's so strong in like rapid chess that he got to 2600. But Shirazi liked to play h5 against g3, the first person I ever saw do that. But as far as a follow-up, I mean, we don't have to go crazy. You know, we could follow up positionally. The game could be like the last game a little bit. Kind of strategic, you know, symmetrical English. Although I'm not sure about c5, d4, pawn takes d4. It's probably good, okay for black. c5 here. So we got him to play knight f3, and what's the significance of that? Well, it does, you know, disallow him from playing powerfully with the bishop on the long diagonal. Oh, good move, b3. Now I seriously am having regrets about my last move. I probably should have played g6 straight up and then decided on an approach. Alright, so b3. We're definitely in some uncharted territory here. White should be better a little bit because of h5. I mean, it's a pretty reckless move with some positional basis. Shirazi had the famous game where he lost in 5 moves to Jack Peters, but I don't know the circumstances. I can ask someone who probably knows. My only guess is that Kamran was playing backgammon all night or something. I mean, that's the obvious, likely explanation. He's extremely strong tactically, so he doesn't just hang pieces normally. Bishop g2, and no h4 for me because of knight takes h4. Well, at some point we're going to have to play knight f6, clearly. I don't really like h5. So white should be a little bit better. Sure, this is entirely justified here. And we didn't get to play knight h6, knight f5, which is a big theme for today. Now he castled, which is interesting. I mean, I would like in some positions to do an exchange sacrifice, maybe like h4, rook takes h4. But the circumstances have to be right for that. I mean, you can't just recklessly do that in just any old situation. But I am optimistic because white committed to castling here. I might be able to initiate a strong attack on his king because I'm not committed to castling likewise. G5 is really caveman type of concept. Lubarlo Soul says, Shirazi the Grandmaster's here. You come to hustle the hustler. He's quoting Searching for Bobby Fischer, the movie. Yeah, I mean, Shirazi was, he was at his height as a blitz player around the time, a little bit before the time, well, when that book was written, let's say, before the movie came out, in the late 80s, I would put Shirazi at his height when I started to really get into chess in the late 80s. And, okay, now White's played d3. Now we played knight bd7. We've guarded our knight so we can play g6 and get developed without going crazy, without some kind of like h4 or some kind of maniacal stuff. Ghostmine playing very positionally today and very sound. Sometimes he plays some weird openings. It's funny that on weird opening day, Ghostmine decided to play probably one of the more solid type openings I've seen him play. Plays some really strange concepts sometimes. I guess he's going to let me do the work. So knight to g5, yeah, we want to take and bring his king up into view. And now he has moves like knight e4, pinning my knight on there. But maybe I should play h4 while I have the chance to play h4 here. If I don't play h4, you know, I might be giving up the opportunity to do that. I'm not saying this is a no-brainer. I mean, there's some argument for keeping my pawn on the board and on a white square. But, I mean, if I want to attack him, this might be my last chance. He could play h4 and stop me at any moment. So, though objectively, he probably prefers to have the pawns on white squares. He does have a lot more time than me. I hate playing e4. Is that what I said? It's not what I said, is it? Or can't read. I hate playing e4. I like playing e4. What are you talking about? I don't play e4 as much as like flank openings in d4, but I do like playing e4. This is a bit awkward. I don't see any really viable sacrifices for me. Looking at like e5, but he's playing knight takes h4. I have to do this. His knight on g5 really annoying. It's pretty much impossible for me to get rid of that guy at the moment. Castling looks stupid. Maybe e5 myself. And I'm the one with the bad bishop. e5. I don't have time to play queen c7 because f7 is hanging all the time. So we're gonna opt for a non-conventional plan here. I think white is slightly better. Made our bishop bad. His pawns are primarily on white squares. You know, but I mean, maybe I could have played knight h5 objectively. Although in that situation, knight h5, bishop takes g7, knight takes g7, rook h1, and white wins control of the open file. I don't really like it. Okay, now things are changing at every moment. Knight h7 to get rid of his knight. Bishop h6 is an idea. Bad bishops. Get rid of bad bishop. And now we have the dilemma of king position. This was my original plan, put the king on e7. It's not exactly the safest spot in the world, but under the circumstances, seems like the best bet. If I go castle queenside, he can open up the queenside with maybe the A pawn and B pawn. Guys, there's going to be 2 more games after this, I think. This is an odd position. So Catapus is, symmetrical English with knight h6. E3, knight h6, 1976. Karpov was really in his prime. E3, knight h6. Yes. He played a4. Okay, but I was talking about if I castle queenside, a4. Okay, this is not a bad move. An odd position indeed. In reality, I think it's fairly level. Maybe the white king is a tiny bit safer than black's king. I'm not sure that it's a major issue. It's a fairly closed position. 14 pawns on the board. Greetings from France. Welcome, guys. Unfortunately, we're only going to be here for another half an hour or so. Wow, he played what? C3 now. He wants to open up the game. Oh, this is getting interesting. We finally connected our rooks. We can exchange on g5 if we choose. I wouldn't mind, you know, selling my bishop for any other minor piece at this point. He played c3, so he's given up on this diagonal. And then he pins himself with queen d2. Which is making me think he wants to do some kind of nasty tactic or something. Rook takes h6. All right, I'm running out of time. He's got a massive time advantage. Very fast today. He's playing. I could play bishop g7. It's sort of insipid to do that, but it's a solid move, avoiding any sort of tactical tries. Instead of queen b7, I had an interesting try there, knight g4 actually. Maybe that was best. I could support it with the other one. He plays rook h4. Well, what's this about? Okay, he's got me in a really, really nasty time squeeze. Just shadowing my idea of knight g4 a little bit with queen e2 supporting. He's played really well. I don't think I've seen him play me this tough before. I mean, this is the first game I've really felt like he's been better the whole game against me. But it's really enough of this tension here. I've got to trade some pieces. I still feel like white is possibly a little bit better there. His bishop is a good piece, although it's blocked in. I've told people a lot of times not to give me more time, so not necessary. We have to keep the games to a limit. This is He gave me an extra a minute and 45 seconds, which makes the game quite long, actually. I don't really know what to do here. This is an extremely strong move. Bishop c1. Incorporate that piece back in the game. We have time for 2 more games after this, guys. And he's got all his pawns on the right color. Maybe bishop g5. I mean, trading pieces there would have been the best. Feels like the two knights start to be superior. At this point I have all my pawns in the dark squares. I mean, I'm not sure it really matters anymore how bad my bishop is. F5. He just blundered. If he knight h4 there, he would have been okay. So white, well, obviously white shouldn't lose. I mean, he was okay. Resigned here. King f6, probably best. Okay, so time-related loss. White could have defended with knight h4 even at the end. All right, 5-5. I've got to remember to play an unusual opening. e4. I'm afraid to play e4. Is that what you said? I didn't play e4. Had a lot of games with black. You could just not use the time, I know. I've been there. Okay, against the Sicilian, I mean, I don't want to play like the Smith Mora. I mean, everybody plays that, you know. It's not very original. What haven't I played or played recently? Let's try b3. Not a line that I've ever played. I think I've played it. You could count on one hand the amount of times I've played this line. Played against it quite a few times. It's not a bad line. But yeah, 5-5 is acceptable. I think there was one time a couple weeks ago where it was like early in the morning and I started to say that like 5-5 isn't good, but it's okay. You know, 5-5. I don't mind the longer increment. I didn't give the spiel about like. Usually I say I like the shorter increments, like 3 seconds for the 7-8 minute games. But if you challenge me to 5 or 6 minutes, then you can make the increment longer. That's basically the way I've been operating. Although there was a time like last week when I said it wasn't good because I was like half asleep and I was just kind of like spacing out. But normally 5-5 is okay. Yeah, I mean here I can play bishop b5 check, but I don't think that has any particular significance, right? This check. But d5 is not a move you see very often. I think I did play it once myself and like lost or almost lost to a weak player because the e-file, although that game was probably, I think it went b3. I think that game was actually e4, c5, knight f3, e6, b3, which is preferred by a lot of b3 players. A lot of people who play this line only like it after like knight f3, knight f3, c5, e4, knight f3, e4, c5, knight f3, b3. Can't talk. But a lot of people who play b3 only play it on move 3. That's what I'm trying to say. So d5. It's the Scandinavian where I played b3 and black's played c5. It should be good for black. This inclusion, I would think. It should benefit black more than white. I would think the c5 move, clamping down on the center. And he played knight f6. That's interesting. So now if we play check, try to keep the pawn. Check. This guy's pretty strong. He's 2195. I wasn't really thinking about that, you know. Bishop b5 check followed by c4. And yeah, I mean, I don't want to keep this pawn. It's dangerous. I mean, then I lose the initiative. He's playing gambits with e6. You could play bishop check, trade off the bad bishop and play c4 and try to hold on to your extra pawn, but it's not really my style to grab material at the expense of the initiative. Wow. Beacon's moving in storage. What are you talking about? You're talking about, oh my god, Bobby Fischer. Yeah, there was a Beacon's moving in storage in my hometown when I was a kid. Huge. They had a huge business there. Alright. That is a really strange thing to contribute to the chat there. Wow, dude. You have to be really bored to make up an account for that. Knight f3. I'm just developing my pieces. It's a little hard to deal with the bishop on the long diagonal in these types of positions. I mean, sometimes black has to play f6, which is obviously double-edged. Although sometimes practically forced. Yeah, that's really Fischer's lawsuit against the storage company. Okay, this is his way of covering f6 on the long diagonal. Looks reasonable to me. We're going to go double fianchetto, which is a pretty common theme, I guess, in these lines. This bishop is going to have to get out pretty quickly here. But black's position is probably okay. Guys, we have time for one more game. At least one more game. We'll say at least. Popitz is challenging me too. How to develop the Queen's Indian knight. I feel like I'm playing knight h6, knight f4 again. He has to be careful about the long diagonal. Zzz. He's got short diagonals and we have long diagonals. Bishop here. Like bishops here against bishops here. Put things on the long diagonals and take. That's the strategy. Yeah, now there's a little trick because if I play knight to c4, that would prompt him to play like b5, which might be just what he's looking for, actually. On the other hand, there's always another hand. No, there is no other hand. There is no other hand here. d4, rook e1, queen e2. I gotta make a move. My knight is stupid on a3. It's gotta get into the game. Sleepy Mario, only when I'm bored. What is that? Attila Alasoy use that opening too? Who is Attila Alasoy? Sounds like someone I should know. It looked like we have the saddest troll and the happiest troll in the same yeah, he's inconsistent like that. What about like, yeah, can't be letting him play knight b4, knight d3, so b5 is coming whether we like it or not. d4 weakens my dark squares. Well, the problem is we have no way to play both knights to e5. It's kind of awkward. Only one knight can occupy e5 at a time. The other one will just have to settle for like e3, I guess. So it's blitz again. 5-second increment. Guys, don't give me extra time if I look like I'm getting low on time. I'm usually aware. And is that like Turkish or something? It should be pointed out that Bob's Ellsworth is a very wealthy man. Oh. And we're going back in time with this moving and storage controversy. Not exactly a new concept. All right. Maybe the Fisher files would be interested. So, well, here we have the old... We have a combination. I mean, knight takes f7 is possible. Knight takes f7, rook takes f7, bishop e5. Grab the rook on b8. It doesn't actually win material, technically. I don't know what I'm thinking. Oh, this was a risky move. I thought just b6 would be... b6 would be a little more, like, stable. Maybe b5 is good. I've got a lot of pressure on c6. And you give me the open line with a rook. b6 looks like it would have been quite solid. I think I fished out here. What am I doing? Never mind. Just ignore anything I do. It's just totally random moves. Time is a little bit short. I'm sure I had a forced win. Whatever he's smoking, I want some of that. I'm talking about the moving and storage. Man, we're still not taking this guy out. Rook takes e6. And it's like a self pin. Man, this guy is a pretty competent blitz player. He's got everything covered. Almost everything. Subtle threats. What am I doing here? Does anybody know? This guy's a pretty good blitz player. Oh. Damn, he saw that too? Seriously? He saw Queen E8 check? That's pretty unbelievable. He found this move too. He resigned? Okay, I don't understand. What happened? He resigned? Oh my god, why did he resign now? Like, he has a likely drawable position and he resigned? Super strange, okay. Wow, MSKH. Never played him before. That was... Have I played him once before? That was a tough game. He had it defended. Man. This is like a draw. He resigned. I don't know why he resigned. Some hallucination or something. Or I accidentally clicked the resign button. But that was a good fight, man. Appreciate the resignation. Draw my rook's mouse slit before my opponent still resigns. What? He saw Queen E8 mate and played Rook F8. That was pretty amazing. I thought I had a really sneaky trap there, but I guess he could have had like Bishop F8 in some positions, although he might lose his Rook on B8 too. So he's a good blitz player. This will be the last game for today, guys. We're going to try for another unusual opening. Maybe he had to go. Marsh and potatoes. And, okay. Dude, please don't, like, post weird stuff. Please don't post weird links in my Twitch stream. We'll just give him a timeout. Marsh and potatoes is posting strange links. Don't click on that stuff. Alright, so e4 c6 against the Caro Khan. I was thinking maybe this. It's a pretty rare line. just for something different. He's been timed out. He's been timed out for 600 seconds. That should be the end of the stream, basically. Okay, d takes e4. You know, I mean, I'm not sure, like, against queen f3, what theory says either knight f6 or e6. I mean, obviously d takes e4 is playable too. Maybe it's equally good. Actually, who's to say there's anything wrong with d takes e4 here? This is some kind of tricky coffee house variation that I think someone played against me a million years ago, before I turned 39. Wow, knight d7. So this move in particular, you know, he can meet bishop c4 with knight e5. That's one major point. And if d4, knight f6. I have not played this player either. I didn't verify. I'd like everybody to have at least 50 rated games. If my queen were on e2, we would have mate, but that's not the case here. So I feel like d4 just creates a target for him. I don't have support of the d4 pawn. Bishop c4 allows knight e5. That's the trick here. Knight g5. Knight gf6. Once again, bishop c4, knight e5. So what are we to do in this situation? Queen g3. What is the point? Not a developing move. Once again, b3 comes into consideration. Yeah. I mean, I like b3, I guess. We'll play like in the b3 Sicilian. Another way to control d4, which is a kind of weak point for me here. This is obviously not really critical or dangerous for black, but we're just taking him out of his... We thought we were taking him out of his theory, but actually he feels like he's adjusted. He's been ready for queen f3 for quite some time now. He played like what looks like at first sight a passive move, but I mean, in fact, knight d7 seems to be quite appropriate against queen f3. Knight takes e4. Fischer's business with the moving and storage company is before my time. I'm more familiar with when he called my friend and asked him to set up a match with Saddam Hussein. Not with Saddam Hussein personally, but he wanted Saddam Hussein to arrange a match in Iraq against the top Iraqi player. It just came to mind now. This old story I've told before. Sadly, the friend in question, Gerardo Barbero, passed away years ago. I was at his house when Fischer called, and another one of his crazy ideas. This is a little passive for black. I mean, e6. Yeah, I don't know what's worse, the porn links or the random comments. But at least this is better. I mean, it's chess related and it's bringing back funny stories for me. All right, so knight f6. Yeah, queen h4 looks a little bit awkward here because I'm going directly into bishop e7. And so I think I'm better off reverting to the theme of the day. One of the themes of the day. I don't have a bad knight to come to like a3, c4, at least here. We have very good Nimzovichian control of e5, the long diagonal. Highly recommend you guys study the games of Aaron Nimzovich. Not necessarily like you have to read like my system, but to incorporate Nimzovich into your games is very important. Some people call b3 the Nimzovich opening, right? So bishop b4 doesn't look particularly great. It's kind of vulnerable there. I think I'll play g3. And one thing that a lot of people have a proclivity to do is to attack pieces for the sake of attacking them. And I think you need to teach yourself, when you see a piece like this, it's probably best to just leave it there. You know, don't chase it away. Leave it there in its exposed position and wait for an opportunistic way to take advantage. This attacking pieces for the sake of attacking them is a kind of common mistake that people make. So the theme of the day, the double fianchetto. We've got quite a reasonable position. I think white has some chances of a kingside attack. I mean, maybe I should have tried something more dramatic here, you know, like castles queenside and then g4. You know, I mean, that's absolutely a more caveman but equally valid way of playing. Spinal Tap's back. Did you auction off Bobby's lot? Getting into it. Something happened to Bobby's stuff though. b4 has a double purpose. Well, I like b4 like against the you're reminding me, Catapus is reminding me of in the Scandinavian, like e4, d5, pawn takes pawn, queen takes, knight c3, queen a5. Sometimes black plays c6 and you can play b4. Rook b1 with the idea of b4. Elves did that. Ooh, this is bad. He's got a trick. But I just play a3. Should I play knight e5 first, or should I play man, everything wins here. Knight e5. Maybe he'll sack the exchange or something. Should I play a3 first? Let him live. And he has a miraculous defense here. No, knight e5 is good enough. Not going to get too fancy here as the time ticks down. Lord Periculum. Faster than ever. Been mating fast recently. I think slow is better. More enjoyable. You have to savor it. I think that applies to everything. We only live once, you know. Bishop a6. Yes, children, that is a possibility, but it's not something that we should lose too much sleep over. You might even be able to take it. Bishop a6, queen takes a6, queen takes d2 check, king f1. Yeah, I mean, it just wins a piece, right? Takes, king f1. I'm coming back. And you don't have a white squared bishop. So I can simply take it. Yeah, that's a problem. There is no defense. So after our foray with queen f3 on move 3, we managed to find a way to coordinate. I still like the way he defended in the opening, though. I mean, knight d7, b3, knight f6, bishop b2, knight takes e4, queen takes e4. Now here he played e6. I think that's possibly a mistake. I mean, knight f6. It seems like after knight f6, black would have been okay. Although e6 may not be that bad. Knight f3, knight f6, queen e2. But here he needs to think about the future, so maybe b6 and bishop b7. I still like white a little bit, but I think that theoretically, we'll ask Spinal Tap, what do you think about queen f3? Is that what's the best move here? e6? e6, like in a normal two knights variation or whatever. No? Queen f3 in the Caro is legit, but I played it on move 3. Oh, g takes f3. G takes f3. G takes f6. You're talking about like knight f3, bishop g4, what? Bronstein style? He played bishop b7. Maybe that's the best move, probably. Simple and good. Nice job. Unfortunately, knight takes c6 is a little complicated. There are some tactics here, aren't there? We also have knight takes c6. I'm going to lose on time if I don't do something quickly. Bishop takes c6. Doesn't look like a great idea. You got some tricks for me, huh? I'm going to have to be careful here. What am I thinking? Knight takes c6. Knight takes c6. Alright, whatever. This isn't even good, is it? No, I'm like an idiot. I'm a complete idiot. Totally screwed this up. Wow. So much for not attacking the piece. It's like in a bad position. I totally forgot about rook c8. What was I thinking? What a way to end it. I doubt I have an advantage here. I'm lucky I'm not worse. Maybe I am worse. I don't think this extra pawn is very good. He's got this monstrous square. I mean, maybe this extra pawn will be enough to salvage my position from being lost, but objectively, we're the one fighting for a draw here with the broken pawn structure. I mean, maybe I'm exaggerating a little bit, but I'm very angry with myself for the way I played this. Bishop c3. Or just take. Continue to play badly. This guy's outplaying me. After a very bad opening, he's played virtually perfectly. Now I don't know about that exchange. He had knight g5 there, where I would have had to play f3 to not lose by force. It was a very nasty situation. It would have been a very nasty situation. I had no idea what to play. Compensation for pawn. Wow. And he's fast too. He didn't take the pawn. He could have taken the pawn on a2. Now he's probably losing. Still not easy. Actually pretty good for a 1600. I would say excellent. Not sure if this is the best move, rook c3 or not. It's going to be hard to stop that. Well, obviously he had to bring the rook back or move the king one move earlier. He's too slow now. f5 was bad. It was a really terrible, the second half of this game. I was probably winning by force, and instead I nearly lost. Pretty bad. But we get lucky here. So thank you for an interesting game, at least. It was really bizarre. I went from winning position to close to lost, and managed to win by a little bit of pure luck at the end. He played well in the middle game. The opening, he let it go, but I think I was winning somewhere there. I had numerous ways to try to win material and play for even a mating attack with stuff like knight g4. So I'm sure that I missed something there. Anyway, guys, it's time to go. So I've got other stuff, other business. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel. Thanks to Spinal Tap Chess for hanging out with us again. Sorry to swindle him. Never say you're sorry, actually. I'm not sorry. I just say it because it sounds nice. I'm not sorry, Spinal Tap, but I do feel bad that I kind of feel bad that I didn't beat you in a clean game. Should have taken me out again. Anyway, guys, we will be back tomorrow, Thursday, 10 a.m. CET. So hopefully Spinal Tap will be back, and I don't know what he's doing, but we appreciate everyone coming through and visiting, and we will be back tomorrow, 10 a.m. Take care, guys. Later. Bye-bye.